you have not become a patron of the Geocache Talk Network, what are you waiting for? Patron levels start as low as a Bison Tube level at $3 a month. The sign up is easy. Simply go to the Geocache Talk website and click on the Become a Patron button, or go to patreon.com/Geocache Talk. Patrons now get the famous Blackout coin, invites to special events, and other really great items throughout the year. Become a patron today. Have you subscribed to FTF Magazine yet? FTF Magazine is the #1 geocaching magazine available. It is a quarterly magazine that you can be part of. Submit your geocaching milestones and adventures to be published. FTF Magazine is also interactive with puzzles to solve and the hunt to find Spartacus. If you can solve the puzzle or find Spartacus, then you will be entered in to win a special pack tag. Every new subscription, you will receive a special swag pack. Subscribing is easy. Just visit FTF's website, ftfgeo.com. Don't miss out and subscribe today.
Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we would dive deep into geocaching topics. Each episode features in-depth discussions and aims to provide a deeper understanding and appreciation of geocaching and to inspire listeners to explore new aspects of our great sport. And with me tonight is the Nightcrawler himself,
Nightcrawler,
Memphis Mafia.
Good evening. I don't know if I like the Nightcrawler though. I don't know, that seems to have that's a weird, creepy.
That is kind of a weird one.
Sounds like a serial killer name.
Yeah, I was thinking more like a superhero, like an anti-hero.
I think it's an X-Men.
Yeah, there you go.
One of the X-Men, I think, good guy, bad guys. And I think it's also a worm, isn't it?
Nightcrawler, probably.
None of those are flattering, by the way. So
yeah, sorry. I'll come up with a better one. Captain Midnight. I'll do Captain Midnight for you or something. So
Captain Midnight. There we go.
Captain Midnight. So and you found caches at midnight. We'll get into that in a minute. So so tonight's giveaway, which we'll talk about later. But if you want to get in on tonight's giveaway, hashtag night is what we're going with tonight. So put that in, and you will be entered to win for there you go, Nightcrawlers, like Earth caches. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So let's do some quick news. Let's do that. Really, the only news I wanted to mention, a couple things that I wanted to mention. One is, again, there'll be a key tonight. We'll do Key 32's final clue will be given out tonight, and it's the most critical of the clues. So definitely want to stick around for that one if you're going to go after Key 32. And so that will be a little bit later. And if you are going to Cache Fest, you probably saw the announcement we made where you want to make sure that you sign up for all the things in all the things for Friday night went fast. So that you can, we still want people to come to the Friday night event. It's just that the teams have kind of already been set. So that went fast. So you got to really kind of stay on your toes for that. The Thursday morning items, the Thursday morning challenge, the escape room challenge, which is where we put you in a pod and you then have to try to solve the puzzle they give you. You have like 10 minutes. So it's kind of a fun, went well last year, I think. Didn't you think, Jesse?
Yeah, that was a blast.
Yeah.
Now I like escape rooms anyway, but obviously you can't have, 100 people come through a 1 hour escape room. It would be all weekend, right? But shortened version of the escape room, I think they were like 10, 15 minutes, something like that?
Yeah, 10 minutes. Yeah.
It was a blast too. And there's 4 or 5 people in there. And it was kind of fun to go in there with people you knew, but it's also kind of fun to go in there with people you don't know. Although it's really kind of stacked. It's almost like cheating when you have a bunch of geocachers in there because they solve puzzles all the time. It's not like going in with a rando from just
off the street
or whatever. But
that
was one of the. I hope we continue to do that in the future.
Yeah,
Find some way to
absolutely.
partner with, escape rooms in the future.
Yeah. So if you are, a single person, you're coming to Cache Fest, and we're gonna get onto the topic here, but please sign up. I know it's can be kind of intimidating to, kind of do that on your own, but you won't. You'll have a team with you, and it's really a lot of fun, and you'll get to meet some folks, and it's all chill. There's no huge pressure, and so sign up. Go ahead and find a spot, especially find a spot that's open with some other people, and just have a great time. And even though you don't know them, you'll trust me, it'll be worth it, and you'll have a great time. So, all right. So this one, we have a lot to cover with caching at night, but also night caches, night caching,
Not night caches.
right?
So
So I guess kind of tell people how we're distinguishing these.
yeah. So to explain the difference, I looked up the actual stats and the attributes.
Right.
So there are worldwide, there are 14,000 and something caches marked with the attribute of night cache. But there are 49,000 that are marked as recommended at night.
Oh,
and only half of those night caches have the recommended at night on there that cross over to both.
Right.
So there's two separate categories.
Yeah.
There's the night cache category, and then there's recommended at night. There are more recommended at night caches than are caches designated as night caches.
Right.
I don't think I said that right. There are more caches that designated as recommended at night than there are caches that are designated night caches. So that's actually two different things. They can be both, which 7,000 of them are, but they can also, there's a lot more of them that just say this would be good at night than are that are specifically labeled as night caches. So
right.
I think you're talking about that extra, 35,000 of them that are not that are not night caches, but they're caches to do at night.
Yeah. Which is interesting that there's that many. I would not have imagined that there would be that many that are just recommended at night that aren't true, that are what we probably would call night only.
Well, caches. If you're thinking about a night cache, the first thing that pops in, an actual night cache.
Yeah.
First thing that pops in your mind is like those fire tags. Fire tags on the trees or the cars or whatever. Yeah. They specifically set things up to be that way, but I don't think it has to be. Recommended at night doesn't necessarily mean it's one of those type of caches.
Right. Yeah. Craig with us tonight, and Craig mentions that he has a full night only cache in Australia, and I think what he means by that is it's designed to be done at night, if that makes sense. It's not just one that
it can be, it should be. Yeah. So when people put a night cache out, the intention of that is for people to only do that at night. Now we know people don't. They do them during the daytime. We've talked about that before.
Yeah.
You can still see those fire tags during the daytime. They just don't glow.
Is that cheating? Is that considered cheating?
I mean, not in my opinion, but
some people would call it cheating. But
of course, I was on geocaching podcast last night. We were talking about where it goes.
Yeah.
The only true night cache, which if y'all didn't see it and you're interested in where it goes, go watch that. There's a lot of the same people I saw last night too. So I get to see the same people, 2 nights in a row, but in the chat room. But in my opinion, and everybody's going to disagree with me, but the only true night cache is a Where-I-Go.
Okay.
So the reason why I say that is every other cache, you can either go do it in daytime or not, right? It just depends on what you want to do. You can actually set up a Where-I-Go where it only works after 9 p.m.
Oh, that makes sense.
Once again, point for Where-I-Go, negative points for all other cache types. Just going to throw that out there. I don't need to get in that again tonight because we touched on it last night, but you can, but we're talking about the ones that they recommend you do at night, but they don't say you can only do at night.
Right. No, that's cool. I think I knew that and I forgot about that. So that's a really cool. Yeah, that's really wild.
How do you complete a night cache in Alaska in summer?
Right.
You cheat.
You just do it. Just
And
do it.
yes, what if you can change the time on your device? Well, you can always cheat.
Yeah.
We don't even go down the cheating road, right? But okay, hold on. If you build a gadget cache using an Arduino, you could have it only work at night. You could. Doesn't
That's
stop it from
interesting.
being a Where-I-Go, but it would just be that much better. Yes, Arduino is another one that you could do.
True.
So that's true across any cache type, right?
Yeah.
You can make an Arduino on anything. And yes, you could have a timed like a lock timer or something else that it's only interactive at nighttime. Yeah.
True.
Absolutely good point.
No, that's good.
But I think we're talking about less the cache and more the caching experience of nighttime caching, right?
Right.
That's what we're honing in really deep. We've spent 10 minutes talking about the part we're talking about, but so not night caches. Cache is recommended at night, and not even necessarily the cache as much as how you would go about that.
Right.
And the differences between that and like a daytime cache.
Exactly.
But
So
that was just too long for the title, so
Yeah. Yeah. You're geocaching. It happens to be during a period of time when there's no sun.
Yes, in darkness.
In darkness. I did ask our buddy Chat GC, doing well, been busy in the AI area. A lot of people using AI, so
trying to take over the world.
Yeah, I mean, its full-time job is to be Chat GC for us, but I think he's moonlighting a little bit. They're trying to do a little extra on the side, which
that's just under his Skynet name that he does on the weekend.
Yeah, we can't really stop him, so he's just going to do it anyway. But so I asked, can you find geocaches at night? Again, not going to read the whole thing. Check out the show notes. The whole thing is out there, but I want to read part of it. Yes, it's possible to search for and find geocaches at night. However, there are a few factors to consider and some precautions to take when geocaching in low light conditions. And we've got there's several that they mentioned, and Jesse has some really good suggestions on. We kind of did different set of notes together. It mentions, I guess let's start at the top. Pardon me. So it mentions using proper lighting. Carry a flashlight, headlamp, or another reliable light source to help you navigate and search for the geocache. Make sure your lighting is bright enough to illuminate the area without disturbing the surrounding environment. So let's start with lighting.
I've used all those forms of lighting for sure.
I used to have, I think I still do. I have to find it. I haven't used it in a while, but as I had a headlamp, it was like a freebie at some event I went to back in my IT days.
I've got several of them.
Yeah. I got a freebie one time with that, and it worked great. So I shoved, threw it in my geocaching bag, and I've used it a few times.
It's good for hands-free, right? When you have a flashlight, you're holding it in your hand.
Yeah, so now you're trying to do
your hands-free when you're trying to do a log and everything else. I think they work pretty good.
Yeah, no, it is very helpful. So very much,
We've all used a flashlight. Most of us have used a headlamp, but I guarantee the one that we've probably every single one of us have used, and we've used it more often.
Yeah,
is the headlights on our car.
Yeah, headlights.
Jingle it off to wherever you're going, and turn them on bright, and then you can go search for it from right there.
Yeah, and and sometimes you can't get, depending on the cache. Sometimes it's not enough.
No, it's not. And the light on your phone, we've all used that.
I use that probably right now. I probably use that the most of any light source.
Works if there's some ambient light, but like I was somewhere, which I can't remember now. Christy and I were coming back from somewhere.
You had those. Yeah.
I don't even know. And we were in a cemetery, so when Texas style cache.
Right. Texas.
There were zero. It was a large cemetery, and there was no lights in the cemetery. There weren't any lights in the cemetery, but the lights from the outside the cemetery were so far out. It was 100% like more than pitch black. It was like negative black. Like it sucked up the light inside there.
Dang.
So we pulled off. We're finding a cemetery cache. It was a virtual, but so we angled the car to shine over where the graves are. You can't drive any further.
Right.
All I had was a phone at that point. The cache was not even that far. Maybe it was like 60 feet or something,
Right.
And you could not see me from the car.
Really?
It was that dark out there. And she had the headlights on shining.
Dang.
It disappeared, and it was wild. It was the darkest I've seen anything like outside of a cave.
Wow.
And the phone light was inadequate. I got extremely lucky to be able to get the information I needed.
Right.
But it was very, very dark.
Wow. That's crazy. Chronicle Tire Mom mentions about the strong flash and you catch I shine in the woods.
Yep.
What is that?
Who cares? They're just muggles. They're just four-legged muggles. They don't matter.
Yeah, they don't matter. Some of them can be pretty big. So that's one of their things was proper lighting. So
yeah, I think that's important though, because if you're intentionally going out, and we're not talking about like, and we'll get into location, but we're not talking about like, oops, I pulled off real quick because I'm on the way home from the movies.
Right.
We're talking about intentionally going out at night, intending to find caches. You should bring the phone light is okay, but in some locations it's just not adequate.
No, you're exactly right. If you're getting away from your car a little bit, you need to have adequate lighting because for some of us that tend to be fairly clumsy and in bright light, we can really turn an ankle quickly in the dark. So
yes,
we need to be careful.
Easy to trip over something and ruin your night for sure.
Oh yeah. And if you're caching, I tend to cache in spring, summer, and fall. So there's usually something out there trying to bite you or scrape you or ruin your evening. So like you said, you got to see what's in front of you well, or trying to, like I said, snap an ankle. You don't want to do that. So
no, then you're just another news story.
Yeah, then you are. Yeah, exactly. Then they just, got to put you down because, we can't fix those things. So just kidding. Be aware of your surroundings. Caches are often hidden in various locations, including parks, forests, and urban areas. Take extra caution at night to avoid tripping over obstacles, encountering wildlife, or disturbing private property. This is an interesting one I've run into.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure you have too, which was our little group, our little Motley Caching crew was out, and we are in a public location. But we had some locals who took the time and effort to come all the way over to where we were to tell us that we were disturbing them and that it was causing issues on their private property because we had lights and we were talking and all that.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, so we kind of explained what we were doing and that didn't help. And so we just kind of tried to quietly finish up the cache and all that. But there's sort of I don't know how to describe it. So I'm going to let Jesse for you to describe it. But at night, I think people can get very social media-ish. They get very ornery toward others. Whereas if it's in broad daylight, they might not be that way, but it's like...
Well, I would say everybody's jumpier at night.
Sure.
You don't know what to be, what you can't see is sometimes scarier than what you can see, right?
Yeah.
So you got to think too, like we've all had either guns pulled on us or farmers with weapons come out or whatever at some point somewhere.
Yep.
People have had that. That happens. It's a lot more intense at night when it happens.
Right.
Because it's easy to have a miscommunication and not even that, like when you're out like that, we've talked about the story with you doing it before, but Somebody that thought it was his property when it wasn't. But in the city, I've mentioned on the show before, but like I went to an FDF one time. I don't want to go through the whole story, right? But it fits in this well. I went out for an FDF and I get to the area and I'm like, this isn't where this should be. And it was at nighttime and it was behind a bank.
Oh, okay. Ooh,
and I was just like, nope. I just turned around, left. I was like, and it was in an area that was well traveled. So you are very likely to encounter, some blue lights sneaking around behind a bank after dark.
Right.
So, all right, Tiger's Eye's right. Not everybody's had a gun pulled on them, but we've all heard stories or have had, if you cache in those type of areas, some people protect their land and bring it, depending on where you cache. So
I think both of us have, right? Well, I had one guy who he didn't pull a gun, but he had a
gun on him.
Yeah. Did you have one like that?
No, but part of it wasn't me. It was connected to me though. It was that the GeoArt series we did in Colorado. We did the big series.
Yeah.
And that's why we had to shut those caches down because somebody got a gun pulled on them or whatever.
Right.
A shotgun pulled on them, even though they were in the right legally. It doesn't really matter if you're getting, filled with buckshot. You can argue that later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's not. Yeah, so that's most definitely.
So I think you got to be careful with animals, right? First of all, but you also got to be careful about people. One, spooking people, or two, just bad people are out there.
Yes,
it's a lot easier to cause some trouble if you're out there by yourself, not paying attention. You're looking at your phone, so you got night blindness, and somebody can come up on you really quickly. If you're talking about urban caching, you really need to be aware of your surroundings, especially depending on where you are. Just anything bad could happen, robbery, attack you, whatever else, or unintentional. Like, how many times have you found a guardrail cache at night?
Yeah.
It's a little more dangerous at night.
Absolutely.
People can run into you. There's drunks out there and stuff. So you have to be really aware of your surroundings, even more at night than during the daytime. You should always be aware of your surroundings, of course, but even more so at night because reaction times are shorter. You can't, bad things can happen even unintentionally at night because people don't see you.
Yep. Florida geocaching at night in the swamp land is
that's pretty crazy.
Down your way, Jesse.
Yeah, for sure.
You really have to be a lot more careful for a couple of different things. So like you said about animals, insects. So whereas you might be able to see a black widow or some kind of crazy, or if you're down in Australia, you could really die from one of those. But from whatever, they have all the things that kill you down in Australia, right? Our Australian folks are with us tonight, but you might grab, like you said about a guardrail, you might grab the cache more not carefully. You might grab it less carefully during the day, but you should be more careful at night, just because of the fact, like like I said, it's hard to see if there's something there. Even if you use a light, like you said, even if you have, I mean, there's possibilities. I mean, if you're walking a trail, you're not getting full coverage, so there could be snakes that you're not seeing, depending on where you live in the world. There's always the possibility that you're just going to miss something. So you got to really kind of be more aware of your surroundings.
Yeah. And I think that's in the safety realm, one, bad actors.
Yes,
two,
absolutely.
Just clueless people and drunk drivers.
Yep.
Three, we could list them all off, but animals, bugs, and just simple things like, it's a lot easier to make a mistake at night. So you have to be a lot more careful, putting your hands into places, cutting yourself and everything else, and somebody, it's scrolled out of the way now. It's hard to keep up with them sometimes, but so they had somebody almost walk off a 30-foot cliff.
Yeah, that's this one. Yeah.
I mean, that makes for a bad day, right?
Yeah, 30-foot cliff. I mean, that's not that uncommon. I mean, there was a cache that I found a few months ago. I found it during the day, but trust me, even during the day, and I kind of knew, I'd kind of checked out the surroundings, but literally, I mean, the cache was near a spot where it had the look, when you look at it, just a casual look, you couldn't see it, but there was this big
Yeah.
ravine. It's like,
Oh yeah.
and you don't notice the ravine even in the broad daylight. You kind of the way that the ravine was, you kind of really couldn't see it. So at night, you really would have trouble. So you had to be very, So yeah, there's a good example of, you got to really, really watch.
Because you don't know where you're going, and I mean that holds true with, let's say, if you're not urban caching, if you're caching away from the city, rural.
Yeah.
It's often caches are placed really close to private property.
Yeah, they are. You're
in the
right.
daytime, sometimes it's easy to see those demarcation lines, but at night you could easily stumble into somebody's property, and now you are the creepy dude on their property in the middle of the night, right? That's wandering around and clueless. Yeah. So the lesson there, we don't want to be creepy. Geocachers, we do not need to be the creepy person. And half the time, so let's say you move into the city, you're urban caching. Most parks and cities close either at dusk or at like 9 p.m. or whatever else.
Exactly.
Now, if you're in there after hours, looking creepy, hide in the bushes, you're going to scare anybody else that's out there right at closing time. Some guy or girl is out there running on the track with their headphones on. They're not paying attention either. Now you come out of the bushes. That's all you need. Like serial rapist geocacher makes the headlines. That's all we need. Attacks lady in the park.
Yeah, we don't need that.
Now you're the creepy guy, right? Like, don't be a creep. Don't cause problems. And again, like we've talked about before, like in your situation, just because you have a legal right to do something doesn't make it a good idea.
No, exactly.
And the last thing we want, to do is get somebody hurt or start having, it's one of those weird, creepy geocachers that's sneaking around in the middle of the night. That's not the reputation you want to give. Yes, you have a right to be out like everybody else, but you just need to, we're playing a game that hinges on permission a lot. Yeah. So we got to remember that part of it, now if you're out in the mountains, in the woods, and you're doing it overnight, man, go for it all day long.
Yeah.
But when you start creeping around town in areas like libraries and government buildings that are shut down at night, it can give a bad impression. If you're in the middle of a Walmart parking lot, who cares? Yeah. Right. But some areas, where I go boogeyman. That's what we need.
Yeah, Dave calling you the where I go boogeyman.
Yeah, not me, the creepy dude of the bushes that came out.
Oh, okay, not you. Yeah.
And this is a good one too. Go ahead.
Well, Creepy Leech mentioned something that I wanted to bring up, which was you have to remember too. He mentions about Potter's Pond doing it at night because, but that's sort of day or night, which is there's no cell service. I mean, you can still find it. You can use Cachly, obviously, because you just offline. You can offline the coordinates for any cache. So, as we've said before, there's no need for a GPS. So,
yeah, the Potter's Pond and some of the other ones out in Utah like that, there's no cell signal for.
So you need to know, because if you end up with a problem, if you end up with a snake bite or a snapped leg, it's going to take you longer to get to services.
Right. Well, and so Creepy Leech says, I once had an LEO encounter where after I explained myself, they got a ladder out to help me and climb the tree. And, we've all not we all. Many of us have had LEO encounters, and many of those have gone well. Yeah. However, having said that, and being on both sides of it, right?
Yeah, you've been
at night. There's a much higher probability that it might not go as well as it normally would.
Exactly.
Especially with, and I don't want to call people idiots, but idiots who start lying when they get asked what they're doing.
Yes.
Don't do that at night. They're there to do a job. I'm geocaching. Cool. Bye. Yeah. 99% of the time. Cool. They've all heard about it now. It's been going on forever. But when you start acting shifty, it's already night. Somebody's already called in because you're creeping through the bushes. Now you start lying about what you're doing. You're just causing more problems than you need, right? Like, especially at night. If you get encountered by an official, whether it's law enforcement or whoever else, a guard or somebody like that, don't lie. Just tell them geocaching.
Just tell them geocaching.
That'll explain away almost anything. You're like, look, here it's on my phone. This is the spot we are right now.
Yeah.
That's a lot easier than going through some weird, I'm doing nothing. The secret's out. you don't have to hide the secret of geocaching that much. You know,
No.
3 million-ish people already know about it, plus more. So you can say geocaching. It's not one of those like you can't. It's not Fight Club.
Yeah. Now, the one time that you were, or maybe more than one, but I know of at least one where you were you're being a very naughty law enforcement officer, which was you were giving somebody a hard time about what they were doing, and they were trying to hem-haw around, and they were
I've done that
geocaching
once.
You've done it a few times.
Oh yeah,
That's
and not to
awesome.
get us off, but when FTF would come out, I never would go geocaching on duty because I just don't think that's right. Right, I'm working for taxpayer money and things are serious. I can't play around like that. I've never been in an area where it was that dead that I could do that.
Yeah.
And I just saw a conflict. That did not, however, stop me from going to the area when I got to FTF and parking right in front of it.
Right.
Or parking like 10 feet down just to see people like creeping up and looking around. That was a lot of fun, you know. And I always made sure before they left and didn't get a chance at it, I'd talk to them and go, come on over here.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was funny, or just like whoop, you know, hitting the siren and what are you doing?
You could see him
kind
of
always
pull up
fun,
and
but
sort of
at the
casually
same time,
try to
you
be in
know,
the area.
I knew what was going on.
Right.
I knew it, not just like I've heard of the game, but like I knew specifically there was one there. And I knew where most of them were in town anyway, so I'd go through at night and you see people pulled over there.
Yeah.
And we get calls too, like there's somebody parked on the side of the road right by the entrance to this park, or, you know, and I'd be like, I got it. I know what that is. I'll be down there.
I know what's going on.
But, you know, people, if you're walking down the street, even in an urban area, let's say it's kind of, you know, there's not a lot of people out there. If you're walking down the street and there's another dude walking down the street, you know, 50 feet behind you, at noon, you don't care.
Yeah.
At 1 o'clock in the morning, now it's, you know, you're thinking Jack the Ripper, right? You're like, oh, this guy's there to kill me. Everything is different at night. So our personal safety obviously should be important, but you just have to think through those when you're doing night stuff. Don't take off running. You see people like find a cache and then take off running back to their car and they take off. Maybe not a great plan at night.
No. There was one too, two sticks that I mentioned this earlier. I wanted to get your opinion. So he mentions always cache with a group at night. I agree, but there's people that don't cache with others, so they're always solo cachers. So, what are your thoughts on this?
I'd say I would agree with Houston, Texas, Dave, with a slight caveat of what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
It's always a good idea to cache with a group at night. Having said that, not everybody can. They haven't made those friends yet.
Right.
Safety in numbers, 100% agree with that. It is absolutely safer, smarter to do it that way if that's something you do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like some people do not. Some people just only cache by themselves, and in that case, go for it. However, know that you are more at risk because you can't. It's hard at night to pay attention to a lighted screen and what's around you.
Yeah,
it's super hard to do. So it's always good and safer and more. I mean, you and I both agree with this, but I love caching in groups.
Oh yeah,
yes, man, that's fun. I get to talk and play and have fun. That's the fun time. But definitely safety as a group. I agree with that. There's a couple people that say the same thing. Plus, it just makes it more lighthearted because you don't have to worry about everything at one time. You know, safety and fun all at the same time.
Yeah,
you kind of split the duties up.
But like Crawling Guitar Mom mentions, she says if I waited to cache with a group, I'd be really. So she does. In
that case, you just got to go, right? You can't wait around.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's really for another show. But you know, sometimes she'll take her son or she'll take her dog. From a law enforcement perspective, if you see, let me know if I'm going to get your opinion on this. So you've been there as a law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
If you see one person rummaging around, you're not sure if they're geocaching. You're familiar with it, but do you think from a law perspective, are you a little more concerned if it's 3 people rummaging around versus one person? Or are you thinking, is this a homeless person? Or with 3 people?
Yeah, it's hard to say because you know it could be all those things you're talking about, right?
Right.
It's I guess it depends on the scenario,
Okay.
behind a business, out in the park, different areas
True.
like that. But yeah, one person sneaking around behind a business at night, that's going to seem more suspicious probably than three to me. Cause usually you want to be a little sneakier if you're doing something like
Right.
breaking into the business.
Right.
But
that makes sense.
some random music just started playing in my house and I'm the only one here. So obviously ghosts.
That's a little creepy.
Yeah. A little creepy.
So yeah, interesting, and so I sort of I'm always worried. So Lanisa, be careful out there, girl. We want to make sure you're safe. So I mean, I think in her case, in many people's cases, if you can take a muggle, I mean, even if they're not a geocacher, or like one person mentions, like you're much less nefarious looking if you have a kid with you, obviously, or even if you have a dog. I think the dogs and kids are.
It needs to be your kid, though. You can't just pick a random one off the street. Just throwing that out there.
Don't go kidnapping a kid just
Yeah.
to geocache. That's our tip for the.
Now
That's our big
somebody
tip for the night.
said, B and J Bish, groups of cachers, in my experience, are silly and chatty. Maybe that's less suspicious. That is 100% true.
Yeah,
Because when you're by yourself, you're sneaking around for safety and the game. When you're
Yeah.
in a group, you're rarely ever being sneaky.
yeah,
Because there's 4 or 5 people around you, so that you're going to be talking, you're going to be playing and having fun. So yeah, you're going to look less suspicious, and I think you would invite less attention from
yeah,
good guys and bad guys paying attention to you.
absolutely. Yeah, Happy Hodag took a one with the muggle. There you go. Trisha went. So Trisha found a key when she went to Jamestown. But she had her dog with her, so I think that kind of. I think it does help. I mean, she
It
was in
does.
a urban location, but I think that it's safer. I think you're going to be less likely if somebody wants to sort of. I mean, well, some people are going to assault people no matter what, but
Yeah.
they're probably looking for an easy target in a woman with a dog, depending on the dog. But it's more of a hassle, I think, to try to assault. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Even
I
if the
mean,
dog's not dangerous, it's going to make noise. So yeah, people are going to pick for targets of opportunity. They're going to be a lot
yeah,
easier.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's not a good idea, Dave, to wear a Sasquatch outfit because at least that you're in Texas, people just shoot you if you. They'd want to get a Sasquatch pelt, so you don't want that. So you don't want to do that.
No.
People shoot people down here for no reason a lot of times. So
The
shoot
we're
shoot
talking like
first.
groups geocaching at night.
Yeah.
And I know we ended up forgetting it anyway, but there's a very underutilized cache type at night.
Oh, what is that?
The events. People tend to
Oh,
make events and they get into these ruts where they do them like, hey, it's coffee or it's dinner or whatever else.
yeah,
You can do events 24 hours a day.
that's true.
I know this for a fact because we've done events in Colorado. We did some at midnight. And
That's a cool
you
idea.
can't set up an event to go caching, but you can go caching after an event, that line. But
Yeah.
we set up events at midnight and people showed up and it
That's
was, at a park that was open at the
Yeah.
time. And, there's 15, 20 of us out there, maybe even more. And we ended up going caching at night, not necessarily
Right.
night caches right after
Yeah.
that. And
Flash
it's a
mob.
fun use for an event. If summertime, do something wacky on a Saturday night, set it up for 11:59 or something,
Yeah.
and it's right before midnight, so it's either on your Saturday or it's on your Sunday,
Yeah.
People kind of forget about that, but that's a fun way to do something really different. And if
Yeah.
you're going to be out at midnight, you might as well have 20 bodyguards around you, right? You might as well have some safety in numbers there, and plus it's something fun to do. Do a 30-minute event in the middle of the night, 11:45 to 12:15 in the morning.
Absolutely. So I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about caches themselves.
Okay.
So one of the things that Susan and I did, when we talked about before, which was there was a power trail of Halloween caches. The person was a big Halloween fan, and we did part of them during the day. We did part of them at night, and so it kind of added to the fun because we're trying to find a Halloween themed cache, but at the same time, you're sort of making sure you don't get bit by something, and so it kind of added to the experience. So I like the idea that you can kind of theme and another one that we didn't find during the night, but it would be perfect for night, and that was Molly Cash and crew found one, and it was pretty creepy, but you had clues to get. There were like clues on the ground, like part of a fake hand, and when you got to the actual location, it was a how to describe it. It wasn't a skeleton, but it was like a how to describe it. It was like a mannequin that had been made into like real creepy looking, with the skin coming off of it or whatever, and it was like chained to this thing, and you had to reach in and get the cash out of it. So off of his what was left of his body, and so we after we done it, of course, it was like, dude, we should have done this one at night because
that'd have been a good night cache.
So, what are your thoughts on doing those kind of caches?
I think something like that could be done day or night, but that's the one I would put for recommended at night.
Yeah.
Right. Because you don't have to do it during night. Obviously, you didn't, and there's nothing special to make it a night cache.
Yeah,
but that's a perfect example of caches that are recommended to do at night because it'd be spookier.
Yeah.
But if you work all night and that's the only time you can get it during the daytime, I don't think they would want you to not go get it.
No,
the owner. I don't think that's the intention of it. But some caches are good. They're perfectly okay to do at night. LPCs in a Walmart parking lot.
Oh yeah.
A virtual at a park, like somebody mentioned, that is open 24/7, like it's always open. Perfect. That's great. I could see how some earth caches would be difficult to do at night, since you're looking for features that you're not always extremely close to.
Yeah, that's true.
So those could be difficult to do at night.
I can see that.
But a lot of urban caching or even rural caching that's in places that you can easily access at night.
Right.
I think they can be enhanced being spooky, a little spookier at night.
Right.
Not to make them harder, but like, I'm not a big fan of graveyards, as you know, but
yeah,
a graveyard is way spookier at night than it is during the daytime.
So many of them in Texas are not, you're not allowed to be there after dark. But
that makes sense, right?
Yeah. Well, like the one we found, like I just mentioned, that one, it was in a location that it was, it was allowed. It was a 24/7. You could go there anytime. So it was designed for that. But like you said, you've got to be, I mean, if you can, if you have a location that's 24/7, take advantage of it and go ahead and make it into, maybe if maybe not all your caches, but maybe one of your caches could be where you've got where you have to use a flashlight to figure something out, or you could use a UV light.
Yeah.
So there's, kind of think about, we've found a few that are Halloween style caches, and they're not night caches, so it's not like following a fire attack thing, but we have found a few, especially with our little Motley Cache and Crew group, where it said to find at night. So we specifically planned to, like, we went to dinner and then we left it as something we want to do later at night. So yeah, those are kind of cool, and I think they're not as many. I think there could be more of those if you plan properly. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
could really have a lot of fun if you can. So,
Well, as somebody mentioned earlier, Arduino caches. I would love to see some people
yeah,
make some night caches that are, gadget caches that have timers on them, electronic stuff that you can only do at night.
yeah,
Now I know people can cheat all kinds of ways, right? I don't care about that.
yeah,
But if you could, like a gadget cache in a park that only opens after 8 p.m.,
yep.
that's super fun.
Oh,
Now
absolutely.
that's a night style cache there. Or maybe after a certain time, like maybe during the daytime, the story is one thing, but at night, the story is a
Oh,
spooky story. So
I
bring your
like it.
kids during the daytime. If they're not ready, don't bring them
Yeah,
after 8 p.m. because the story gets spooky.
yeah.
That
You
would be
could
a fun way to do and recommended at night cache, but also not a only at night cache.
exactly.
And
Yeah,
I think that would be fun. Like the later you get, the scarier the story gets. So make your decision based on how old your kids are.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. No, you've got it. Yeah.
You
So,
can even open like a different compartment. Like this is the nighttime swag you get. This is the daytime swag you get.
yeah. Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah.
Like glow in the
That's
dark stuff or something. That could be fun.
be a great idea. So yeah, so geocache means Mo Pirates in ground burial vault with sound and glowing eyes would
That
have
would be a good
been
one.
yeah would have been a good recommended night cache. Yeah, that's for sure.
Well, and
Um,
a lot of times, of course, there's not as many
night
night
cache is
caches
good.
there are. We pulled the numbers on it.
No,
Out of the 3 million caches, there's not a lot of caches that are marked, night caches.
14,000. He said roughly.
Yeah, I think 14,000 night caches, 49,000 recommended at night, and only 7 of those were both.
Right.
7,000
Right.
were both. So it's not, that's not a lot of caches worldwide that are designated as night caches.
No.
I don't know why that is, and maybe that's another show we get into why there's not a lot of night caches, or how do we come up with some cool caches that are actually night caches?
Yeah. I think that I think as geocachers, we sort of just need to step up our game, and we kind of need to. We're so used to just doing it, a daytime.
Yeah.
It does take more planning. We talked about you've got to make sure that the location is available at night. So
There's
what
some good
daytime?
ideas here. Have a night gadget cache that pop scares you when you open it. Nice.
Sure.
Dead ringers like in a cemetery. Ring the doorbell at GZ and listen for the final. The skeleton nearby was holding the cache. That would be an awesome night cache.
That would be awesome. Yeah, yeah. Oh wow, is there? Creepy Leech says there's appropriate for tonight too. Your Creepy Leech. There are tons of creepy voodoo related night caches in New Orleans. That's interesting.
Yeah,
cool.
if you, and not all of them have to be spooky, right? There's other things you can do at night
Yeah.
because there's lack of light and stuff like that. But
Absolutely.
If you're making a spooky cache, nighttime definitely enhances that without a doubt.
Absolutely. So starting to get toward the end, I do want to mention, if you haven't done it yet, do a hashtag night and you'll be entered to win. And we'll talk about what the prizes are briefly in a little bit. And we'll do our clue here in a few minutes. A couple more things I wanted to bring up and ask you about, Jesse. So, what are some, yeah, I saw you mention events too. What are some pros and cons, other than the ones we've mentioned? Are there any others that come to mind?
Yeah, for sure. I think now taking out the extreme stuff, but I think a lot of it comes down to who you're caching with. If you're a solo cacher, that's your choice to take on responsibility. You may not have a choice, right? You may have to cache for yourself, or you may want to. But I think what we haven't talked about, and we usually bring it around to this eventually, but a lot of people, and mine are older now, but a lot of people get into caching and cache with their kids. So I think if you're caching with a kid,
right,
your families, you need to think about the whole experience. It could be anything from past their bedtime. They're not going to enjoy it as much. They're going to be more scared, may turn them off, or your kids may love it at night. You just have to be safer with it when you're doing it.
right.
I think again, solo cachers, everybody can do whatever they want, right? But when you have somebody, a little one, which we love to see the little ones in the game, right? But
yeah,
when you have a little one out there, all of these safety things, I think, become that much more important.
yeah,
And I think that's what I would say in consideration of all this. We all have our own, ability to go do what we want to do, but when you're trying to make a good experience with a younger cacher, scaring the what out of them or having them trip and fall in the those may not be the best experiences. So I would take extra consideration for night caching with little ones.
Yeah, I like that. And one of the things that Slinky Mama mentioned when I was starting to come in here to get ready for tonight was she said it's cooler at night. So in the South, that's sort of a pro. You can put that in the pro column for caching at night.
Yes,
is that it's not as hot. So yeah, so yeah, very good. Chat room's been really busy tonight, which I love. Been a lot of good ideas.
I think the chat room. From looking at the chat room, I'd love to see, and we won't be able to have time to do it tonight, but I'd love to hear stories. If people could email them in, maybe we could profile them or whatever else of some, especially if they're the owner of the cache. Who owns a good night cache? That the experience has been well, and I'd love to talk to somebody about that. A couple people, or hear their stories anyway of successful night caches. I found very few.
Yes.
I would say overwhelming successful night caches, right?
Yes.
They didn't have something missing, or people, it was harder to do or whatever. But I'd love to hear some stories of some good ones, because it's actually a pretty unique. If you think about it, 14,000 out of 3 million, that's small numbers, right?
It is. I've had bad experiences, not bad, but I see if you've had one similar. But we tried to do one. It was in Texarkana, and we get there. We're excited. This is a night cache. We're gonna, this will be fun. Never done a night cache before. This is my first one. So we find a fire attack. We're like, yes, we're on the trail. We're going for it. And we found like half the fire attacks.
Yeah.
And then nothing. And we hunted hard. And then we tried to just sort of wing it, and that didn't work. And so we finally frustratedly had to just go, we don't know what happened to the rest of them. And we actually came back the next day just to take a look. And I swear, I think they just either didn't put them in correctly, and somehow they got, or I don't know. We don't know what happened, because we did the same thing.
May have taken some of them.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've had some, if you're going to do a night cache, if you're going to do a night cache, well, like any cache, but if you're going to do a night cache, you need to make sure you maintain it well. Don't get to a situation where people go to a lot of time and effort to finish it, and they get the end and the cache is gone, or that that would be a real bummer.
But I would like to hear some positive, successful stories of people that own night caches.
Yeah, I agree.
What they've tried, but I'd love to see more of them come out. I mean, I
agree.
Quality ones, right?
Yep.
But I'd love to see more good ones come out, so you could get out there, and that I would love to add that as something I get to do on a regular basis. Like, hey, once a month we go out for night caches. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Can't do that with the low numbers, but I'd definitely like to see some more out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Send us a note, geocachetalk@gmail.com. Let us know your cool night cache. Let us know, and we might feature it in the future when we do upcoming shows. You ready for us to do a vault?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So this is clue, the final clue for clue 32, for key 32. I can say it correctly. And it will be posted in the Facebook group in a little while. Pizza Ninja will put that up for us. But tonight's final clue for key 32 is this. This one is very critical to have in your repertoire for key 32. So, as I mentioned before, for key 32, and that is when you, what's funny is, do you see, Jesse, do you see the little black thing behind it? There's a little black square. I had to take, because there was information about where it was, so I had to like take out that section. That was I was being real clever there, I guess. But anyway, for this particular key, want to mention something real quick, which is, if you go find this, or if you have somebody go find it, or wherever, I would really encourage you to do couple things. One, go when it's open, when the place is open. Number two is go inside and tell there's a man and woman that own the business. You tell either one, but I think the woman would be the best. I'm trying to think of her name. I'll tell you her name in a second. But anyway,
probably would not tell the name.
No, it was okay. It was no big deal. But anyway, yeah, I guess we won't tell it. But anyway,
you kind of mess up the clue if you do.
Well, at this point, it's. I think people know where it's at. But anyway, she might want to. It was really cool when I approached them and I said, "Hey, I'd like to do something weird here, and I wanted to talk to you about it." And they're like, "We do weird. We do weird at this place." So it is a really cool beach bum place, and so it's really kind of a fun. Anyway, it's a fun place. So, again, with permission, extreme permission in this case, they were just thrilled. Yeah. Just thrilled to be part of it. So, all right. So last chance for giveaway. Yeah, Judy says it's Casey. Yeah, it is Casey. Casey is she's a great gal. She does like voiceovers as a side thing, but yeah, Casey is a hoot. Definitely spend a little time and talk to her. So that's awesome. So again, hashtag night is our item for tonight. Once you've done it once, you don't have to do it more than that, because there's only one chance at it. So
I say do it a bunch. You never
do
know.
it a bunch if you want. Go for it. We don't care. Hashtag night. Some of the things you can win, I'll go over real fast, which is I still have the pair of the pre-event coins for Memphis, Cache Fest Memphis. As I mentioned, I glued them together because I thought it looked cool. Yours won't come that way unless you want me to. I guess I could do it for you. I've got some more of the Bisons. I got the silver. I like the copper one.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite ones right there.
I like the copper one. I actually have a couple. We dug up out of the archives, Jesse. We've got some of our old coins. So here's
wow.
Yeah, old coin with the
that has been gone for a while.
The logo, the geocache talk. Yeah, they've been gone a while. They were buried in the archive vault deep under
kids.
In the geocaching with families, or what do we call it? Is
with kids.
Caching with kids, geocaching with kids. Yep. So those are available. You will also get the deep dive path tag, and you'll get a chronically tired mom piece of swag. So let me pull up the giveaway tool, and we will get this get this going. So I guess while I'm doing that, Jesse, you want to any final thoughts for tonight on caching at night?
The two aspects we talked about, and we could talk about both of them in a whole show, but one, caching at night, be safe. That's our biggest key, right? Think about what you're doing ahead of time. And two, caches for at night experience. We'd love to see more of those out there, either specific night caches or recommended night, where people are putting some effort in. Not just that you can go do it because it's a Walmart open 24/7 LBC, but it enhances the experience. Like the glowing eyes, cemetery or whatever. I'd love to see more of those. Those definitely have a place in geocaching for sure.
Absolutely. And I don't know what happened to the giveaway tool. So we are going to encourage you to put in a hashtag night again. I'm sorry to do
Should
that.
we just do it as an email, and then are we going to try to do the whole thing again?
No, we'll be fine. We just need
Okay.
everybody to. We'll just take a couple of seconds here.
Yeah, I don't even see the thing like normal. We usually have the.
Yeah, please do it again.
I
Thank you, everyone. I know. Just bear with us. Sometimes this, I don't know, this giveaway tool is usually pretty good, but even if you've done it before, at least do it twice tonight. Once earlier, and so everybody's doing it. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Is it registering it now?
Yeah, it's really bumping up now. So entries are starting to come in. So
okay.
Yeah. So we'll take a moment. Please put that in. And I saw Tim had did it, which was pretty funny. It's like, Tim, you're not eligible, dude. You're no longer a citizen. You're part of the network. You can't be. You're not allowed to be.
Yeah, nobody ever told me that when I signed up for this gig.
Yeah, sorry, you're no longer eligible. So, all right, there we go. That's good. That's really good. So, all right, let me bring it up. Present the page. Yeah, once you've done it, I guess in this case twice, we're good to go. So
yeah, heck, go ahead and do it again.
What the heck? All right, let me share the screen.
Big money, no whammies.
Big money, no whammies. The sequel. Yep.
I don't like it.
That's funny. So, all right. So here we go. I am punching the button and we're going to get us a winner. So here we go. The drawing has begun. There's all the names scrolling by. Oh, Beto, Chronically, Royals,
all fast enough.
Joanne, Peachy, 26 Dave.
Patty
cake with the good pie.
It looks like a Malinois in there.
Good question. Yeah, where she stops, nobody knows. So right. Congrats to Patty Cakes.
Yep, congrats.
As a winner, and if you would email us at geocachetalk@gmail.com, and we will get you set up with your swag that you won. I'll go through the list if you need me to. So there you go. Thanks everybody for being along for the ride tonight, and we will be back. Well, on Sunday, we've got a really cool challenge talk because we have Mountain Bike is going to be with us.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be really cool to have Mountain Bike. Been on the show before one other time, but it's just cool to have him on. It's always cool to have some of those legends of geocaching. Is that a good way to put it, Jesse? Of the originators.
One of the anchors of the game.
Yeah, the pioneers.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool. And then next Thursday, you'll be on the road because you're on a trip. But I think Pizza Ninja will probably be with me. And we're going to be doing, we have a guest, we don't really do many guests on Deep Dive, but we are going to have some guests coming up in the future as well. But that will be a cool show. We're going to be talking about premium Adventure Labs. Ooh. Or also referred to as sponsored Adventure Labs. How do you get one? Yeah, charter members. That's a good way to put it, Tricia. Thank you. Yeah, charter members.
It's like the partnership attribute. Does that count?
I don't know. That's a good question. There'll be a lot of good questions on next Thursday, but I tried to look up premium Adventure Labs. Google doesn't know what to do with it.
If ChatGC didn't know it, it's suspicious.
Yeah, ChatGC doesn't.
I guess we'll just have to wait and find out what they are.
We got to wait, but we have a guest. K-Blast will be with us. He's going to explain what a premium or a sponsored Adventure Lab is, and what do we do with them? So there you go. So we will talk about that, and that'll be it. And we will see everybody soon. So we're going to say good night. Good night, everybody.
All right, everybody.
Gary will now push the button. Here it is.